What's up, chat? Welcome back to the stream. What a interesting day it's been over here in the Warhammer sphere. Apparently, someone at GW, they fucked up. They done fucked up, and they pushed the app update a full week early. So, a lot of intrepid Warhamsters over there on the internet have scraped the app for all updating changes coming in what we now know is the September 17th Dataslate. So it should be out. That's next Tuesday, I think. 17th? Next Wednesday, excuse me. So I guess the official release date is going to be next Wednesday. However, we have most of the changes now, which is pretty sick. So I've gone through and I've grabbed as many of the screenshots as I possibly can. I don't know if these are 100% of them. And there's probably going to be some changes that I may miss just because it's like minutia of points values and stuff like that. But I'm gonna give you as much as I
Bucket
have.
of Steel Cable donated $2 Canadian and 79 cents through Super Chat.
Bucket of Steel
Please
Cable,
go
thank you
over
for
the
Super Chat.
AdMech changes first.
Well, lucky for you, AdMech's on the top of my alphabetical list here, so let's do that thing. All right, let's hop in, I guess. I think one of these is messed up. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it's not important. All right. So, I have a whole bank of all of these. Let me start with we have some changes to good old faction leader. Belisarius' call has been entirely well, I don't want to say redesigned, but he's been changed quite a bit. Popping over to his updated data sheet, his solar atomizer has been I guess like roughly doubled in power. It went from I believe it was D3 shots, D3 Melta 2. Is that right? I'm gonna verify myself here. He was previously 3 damage Melta D3, the other way around. Now he's D6 Melta 3. So he's a fire dragon. With 3 attacks instead of D3. He's 3 attacks, no blast rather than D3 blast. So there's like occasionally a time where you lose a little bit of efficiency if you're shooting like big Terminator unit or something. Whatever. 99% of the time he's doing like roughly double the damage that he did previously. But a Chad. Absolute Chad. The other thing is that his canticle, I believe it was Mantra of Discipline. Mantra of Discipline grants +1 OC in addition to +1 leadership and and he gains battle line. So that's just a big update too. So AdMech even better at taking objectives now. You can make your Taraxi Skystalkers OC2 steal objectives from people. Yuck. That's spooky. I don't know if I like that. Now, I do believe that Call did get his points updated quite a bit. I don't have that screenshot, but I think that he went up like 30 or 40 points with that change. But I think that's a pretty big one. Hot diggity damn. All right. Onager Dunecrawler has been entirely rebuilt. All of its weapon profiles have been updated. Eradication Beamer used to be grab the Onager data sheet. The Eradication Beamer used to be 2 D3 shots, strength 9, AP 2, or you focus it for a shorter range, but you go from strength 9 to strength 10. Now it goes to strength 10 when you focus it. Previously, it stayed at strength 9, gained a damage in AP. It goes from strength 9 to strength 10, gains the damage in the AP. However, all the attacks are 3d3 shots blast. The same hits 1. Which is pretty sweet. I don't think it was sustained it was sustained D3. So it gained additional base attacks, but it lost additional sustains. And I think this is kind of a trend, is they've been removing a lot of like hyper valuable sustains, which I think I like. I like it if the game's a little less spiky. Where you're like, I could either do no damage or kill the universe. And I think I like we just to do a consistent amount of damage with the attack. That's a little bit nicer. I played a game last night and I experienced Cadus Resk doubling all of his attacks because he would just roll 5s. It was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm glad this is going away. Cognis Las Cannon looks like it gains, sustains.
Bucket of Steel Cable donated $6 Canadian dollars and 99 cents through Super Chat. Shroud Psalm is now a stealth aura and the other one is Oath of Moments Cowl cooking with his cybernetics.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Shroud Psalm was cover previously, right? So that's different. And the other one was previously reroll hit rolls of 1, and now it's choose a unit. Yeah, I didn't even notice that those would change. That's a good call out, chat. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, call killing it on these updates here. What an absolute Chad. Woo. All right. So Cognis Last Cannon for the Irish Rider Ballistari gained Twin Linked. So it, in addition to being multiple attacks, it's also reroll wound rolls, which is crazy. So you can if you have call, you reroll hit and wounds. Let's go. And then yeah, I think that's all the changes. So Irish Rider Ballistari stonks going even farther up. The unit that was already fairly widely played, although I think they sort of fell off more recently in favor of Scorpius Disintegrators. But Twin Linked Last Cannon's pretty good, I've heard. I'm no expert, but I'm fairly sure that's pretty strong. Let's see. Sicarian Infiltrators melee profile improved. Looks like their taser goes getting an AP characteristic, and their sword goes up by an attack, I think. That is indeed correct. They used to have 3 attacks. Now it looks like they have 4 attacks, and they used to be AP 0 on their taser good, and now they are AP 1. Very nice. The Sicarian Rust Stalkers, if you take Transonic Razor and Cord Claw, which is the prime ability, the prime weapon option, I think. That is yeah. So that's the Princeps option. Or it's everybody's. Okay, so the Princeps can take the blades, which is anti-infantry. The unit can take the razor and cord claw, which is now less attacks. So it used to be, the only difference is that it was anti-infantry 3 instead of devastating. So you could trade devastating for an AP 2 damage weapon that only attacks 3 times. It's like anti-infantry for higher damage is like, I don't know. The higher AP is definitely relevant, but the mass attacks with devastating wounds may be better. I don't know the math. I think we'd have to crunch some math on which one of those is superior in most situations. Or it could be a situation where if you're taking multiple units of them, you just have a combination. So if you hit like T9 enemies, you just hit with the 2 damage attack. Because it's like roughly it should be roughly a doubling of output if you're into multi-wound enemies. Versus 3 sort of similar attacks. I believe it's all the odd-mech changes though. So that's pretty sick. The AP creep is real good. I'm tired of the entire game being AP2, chat. I would like to see some higher AP characteristics. Let's put it to those dastardly Space Marines. I do have a peek at some Chaos Knight changes. It looks like Chaos Knights may be getting some nerfs to their abilities, less so to their I don't know anything about points or anything like that. I guess we basically got the points changes for them early, so the points changes should not have changed. But let's see. The big one is that Lords of Dread or Malefic Surge, this is a big one, chooses either Invulnerable Save or Feel No Pain. No longer gives you both. So you don't get a melee invulnerable save and improve your survivability otherwise. You get to choose one. Lords of Dread used to claim for the Dark Gods start of any phase, which is fucking wild. That was like one of the most abusive stratagems I've ever inflicted on another player, it feels like. I remember distinctly there was an interaction in which my opponent had drawn like tempting target or something, and I tempted a target and they moved to charge it, and I claimed it to the point where even if they charged and killed my knight, I would hold the objective because they had 5 OC1 models, like OC1 heavy infantry, that were about to kill me because I was super low. However, I claimed it, so the OC characteristic was at least 5. And my opponent couldn't take the objective. And I was like, this is dumb. This should not work at the end of my before my opponent charges. This is so stupid. So now it's the start of your command phase, like basically every other instance of this. The weird part is that so there's like now an exact copy in Imperial Knights, I believe, of this exact stratagem. They work the same, which is good. That's good templating. It is a little bit sad that Chaos Knights have a worse version, or have the same version. It was the call. The thing was that they had a better version, but obviously that stratagem is wildly powerful. So I think it's probably okay that they get it a little bit nerfed. The Abominant aura has also changed. It now specifies that it does not stack because it was a pulse 9 inches away, but now it's 9 inches of one or more models with the ability. So you cannot hit a same target for multiple D3 mortal wounds if you have multiple Knight Abominants, which was a primary use case for those guys when they were super cheap and you could spam them. Then they would all like run in and do 1 million mortal wounds. Not the biggest of deals for the most part, because it was kind of rare. I found that like Knight Abominants not survived to the point where they all got to stack up their auras on people. If it wasn't somebody who wasn't going to die anyway, and B like got with all in the same position, but. It definitely felt really powerful when they would like ping you for 9 mortals or whatever. They would ping you for 3d3 mortals and then shoot you with their gun for another 9 mortals because they would just roll a bunch of 6s. And so I think that was probably the intended way that this was meant to be played from the get-go. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. I believe that there have been changes to Emperor's Children. I don't know off the top of my head. I think there were some very minor points changes, but I think that's about it. All right. So Emperor's Children, mostly little stuff. So Fulgrim, first off, he's gone down a couple points, I think. I'm going to verify his original points value. He was 365. He's gone down to 340. He's gone down 45 points in the last 2 updates. Still probably not enough, but it is what it is. He also has gained this Serpentine ability. He can move through sections of terrain features 4 inches or less in height. An ability that sounds very nice, but is largely worthless. Because it requires it is entirely dependent on the type of terrain you're playing with. If you're playing with like WTC style, like ruins that are really tall, it literally doesn't do anything.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. Ork buggies to 50 points. Flash kits to 175 for 5.
I don't know the orc point changes. I have some mechanical changes for orcs, but I don't know the point changes off the top of my head. Yeah, it's like of middling usefulness in competitive play. I did like it basically lets you like cut the corners of some ruins if they're kind of like slanty. But the problem is like it's very inconsistent on whether or not this ability is going to do anything, and that's like not a very good effect to have. But it's better than nothing, I guess. They could have just made him move through terrain, and actually he would have been really strong. But I wonder if they're a little bit worried about that. Like, he just has the super heavy walker rule. I don't know. He is basically costed like a knight. Maybe make him work like a knight. No. I guess not. He is super fast, so it would probably be a little bit strong. Flawless Blades, I believe that this is their melee weapon. Yes, Flawless Blades have gained an attack. We're finally there. It's actually pretty reasonable. The downside is like their attacks are high value, but they are very limited quantity. So if they ever needed to do like anything more than kill a 12 wound vehicle, things got really weird for them. And having 4 base attacks means that like a unit of 6 cracking out with 24, and that's probably good enough to like get work done. So pretty happy with that update for sure. Doesn't look like their points values have changed at all. So they're still going to be costed the same. So they are elite infantry. I don't think they did the thing where that we were talking about, where I think the way to fix this unit is let it go to Rhinos, but that's it's neither here nor there. It's not like they're impossible to deliver, and this a 25% increase in damage output is going to be definitely very relevant. So I think that's pretty nice for sure. That is, as far as I can tell, all of the updates from Emperor's Children. I don't think there are. Oh, actually, I think wait, I think they might have got nerfed a little bit. I think the Lord Cacophonous went up 10 points. Why? Why'd they do that? Okay. Well, that's interesting. At least according to the screenshots that I have, I believe that's the only change that I can see. Get fucked, Lord Cacophonous, I guess. He was super cheap previously for a dude who shot 6 times, but I don't know. That feels a little bit silly. I don't. Emperor's Children don't feel like the army that needs to be nerfed right now. Interesting. Genestealer Cults. Genestealer Cults have had wild, enormous, fucking huge changes. For those who don't know, it's funny because they're kind of invisible from a grand standpoint, and I think most players have not really seen this faction in play. But like Ascension host Genestealer Cults is unspeakably broken. It's just that very few people play it, so to the point that like their play rate's so low that they do actually have a tough time of like getting through the variance of getting the upper echelons. But in terms of just win rate, Genestealer Cults are one of the best armies in 40k, and it wasn't even particularly close. However, obviously very limited sample size. So if you were to expand that out to the whole population, it probably would not have continued on. If Genestealer Cult had the same play rate as Space Marines, it would not have kept up. But that still meant that they got nerfed because they looked really strong. So here we go. Let's hop into what they got. So they have some points value changes as far as I can see. I think like Achilles Ridge Runners went up by 10. They did see some points cuts. Yeah, Achilles Ridge Runners went up by 10 points for the singleton version. Their hybrid metamorphs went down, I think, 5 points. And their pure strange healing serials went down for large units. Yeah, so hybrid metamorphs went down for a couple points, but otherwise, most of the stuff stayed relatively the same. However, the mechanical changes were big. My software would load. Here we go. First of all, primed and ready. This stratagem gives you 5+ critical hits in Host of Ascension. So the combo here is you get sustained hits from you get sustained hits from the detachment ability when you come out of reserve. You can gain lethal hits either from a attached brain guy. But I forgot his name. Benefactus. Jesus. Either from a Benefactus or chink in their armor, the enhancement. And then if you had a Primus in the unit, you would get hit rerolls. So you would run in, you would windmill slam for a command point 5-up critical. You'd get lethal sustain on a unit of neophytes shooting like a million times with ignore cover, and then a bonus AP from crossfire, and you could stack up a bunch of abilities and it would go do crazy damage. That stratagem has been increased to 2 CP. Now they've doubled down. They've been like, we don't like 5-up critical rerolls because the Primus ability also no longer gives you rerolls. So unfortunately, these guys basically got they got the old what's the word, the fire discipline treatment from Space Marines, where you have a tougher time triggering the ability. Also, the ability is worse. It still gives you 5-up criticals, unlike that one, but that one they changed because you have Oath of Moment, and so you would just always have rerolls available. This whole combo got crazy once you had the lethal hit Primus shooting people, and that unit did intense amounts of damage. Now the Primus just gives you +1 to hit, which is like from a math standpoint, relatively similar for a 4+ ballistic skill unit. It's a little bit worse than full rerolls. The downside is that you don't get as many criticals. And so in the detachment where you care about critical effects, this is hugely damaging. On top of that, Return to the Shadows used to be a stratagem you could use when your opponent shot you. If they didn't kill you, you could go into reserve, which, like, in fairness, super dumb. So you have a 21 model unit, and if your opponent doesn't one tap it, it just goes into reserve and starts regenerating its models back. So if you ever lined up 2 things to shoot at one of these neophyte bricks and you didn't kill them, then the second thing would never get to shoot because they would just return to the shadows. Now, Return to the Shadows is just an up-down enter your opponent's fight phase, which I think it was what it was at the index, if I remember correctly. I don't know why they changed it in the codex. I thought it was like they had a really cool idea for an ability and didn't really think about how strong it would be, but it's just an up-down now, apparently. So there you go, I guess. That's Genestealer Cults, so some hugely transformative changes to a Host of Ascension, but points cuts for the other detachments. So we did see Xenocreed Congregation doing pretty well yesterday, or last week, I should say. So that's I don't know. There might be some play elsewhere in the army rather than just playing Host of Ascension every time. Oh, thank you for the Twitch follow. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Let's move over to Imperial Knights. Now, Imperial Knights, obviously, their codex just got spoiled. Fully 100% spoiled. However, apparently it's dropping with Day One erratas, which is good because it does seem like it is going to be less powerful than we looked at. Because we read the codex and we said, this is super dumb. Why are all these things true? And it looks like a lot of that stuff is being changed. Now, I don't remember all these abilities off the top of my head because I haven't actually... we only read this codex through on stream one time. But I believe that the entire Valor Strike Lance detachment got wildly nerfed. So previously, all of its stratagems targeted, I believe, if I remember correctly, it was up to 3 knights within 9 inches of a 1 point on the battlefield. So almost within 18 inches of each other. Because you pick a point on the battlefield and you can measure 9 from any direction, right? So I guess closer to like 15 once you get, angles involved, but doesn't matter. It was crazy. You could put like basically 1,300 points of affects 1,300 points of your army with 1 command point with incredibly powerful stratagems. Fortunately, that has been changed. It's apparently not going to be the case. It is only 1 Imperial Knight. Thank God. That's very good. I think that's going to be strong. Also lost. Yeah, you said reroll advanced rolls, is that right, chat? Is that what we're saying? I think that's correct. We could just pull up the Imperial Knights thing, and then I can look. Valor Strike. I think it likes to open new photos behind all my other things. I wonder if I have a setting for that. So Valor Strike used to give, reroll advanced rolls and you gained assault. Now it doesn't do that. And then all the stratagems that selected, this whole mechanic where you selected a point on the battlefield and selected multiple Imperial Knights, now that it's only 1 knight. I think like those might have been okay if you made them 2 command points, but then I think the detachment just becomes really hard to play because suddenly, even if you're selecting multiple knights, it's difficult to do more than 1 thing per turn, and that's usually not as much as you need to in order to like keep an army going. So this is definitely the least toxic way they could have updated this detachment. I still think the faction looks like it's going to be relatively strong, but this goes a long way because we don't get like crazy fucking army-wide lethal hits or army-wide movement characteristic for 1 command point, which was wild. From there, I just closed my thing by accident. Oops, let's open it back up. I believe that there was a change to their data sheets in that they go back to their old objective control characteristic. I guess the original data sheets when they launched came in at 8 OC. So if we take a peek here, like the Defender came in at 8 OC. I guess that's a misprint, and they're actually meant to be 10 OC on all of the Questoris chassis knights. So that's good. And then Castellan, I guess, got a reworked damaged characteristic, and I think they all got a reworked damaged characteristic. So they're OC 10 rather than OC 8, but the most abusive sort of effect in Valor Strike Lance was nerfed, which is good. All right. Space Marine time, chat. Let's go. So only a couple points changes. The ones that I have seen, as far as I know, Ballistus Dreadnought goes from 140 to 150 points. Please keep nerfing this fucking thing. Why was it ever 130? That blows my goddamn mind. But I guess they sold all the Ballistus Dreadnoughts they needed to. Now they're 150. Honestly, still worth 150. They're so good. So I think it's fine. I also saw that the Godhammer pattern Land Raider, the regular ass Land Raider, was has gotten a 20-point cut. Now I'm surprised to see that. Well, actually, I think 220 for the Land Raiders isn't the most insane thing ever. Yes, it has in fact indeed gotten a points cut. Look at that, down to 220 points. What a Chad. Excuse me, well, that's the Crusader. Regular Land Raider down to 220. It being more expensive than the Repulsor Executioner felt a little bit silly because the Executioner had higher damage output, but slightly worse transport capacity, slightly worse survivability. And the comparison between the two, that makes sense. You have a longer range platform that does more damage versus the thing that's better at going up the middle of the table. Why are they different? They just fulfill different roles. Why are they different points values? The Land Raider at 220 definitely feels much better. So hopefully, I think we may even see Land Raiders in the future because I think at 220 points, this unit's actually very, very, very playable. In compliant chapters that get +1 to wound on Oath, you're getting 4 las cannon profiles for the cost of an Executioner, plus a 2+ armor save, plus a 12 model transport capacity. I think they're 12, right, for a Land Raider? I'm gonna double check. I believe they are. I think it's 12 and then 14 for the Redeemer and 16 for the Crusader. Is that right? Yeah, 12 models, which is good. Also, they can the big transports can transport jump packs, which is actually lets you disembark jump pack assault terminators or jump pack intercessors, excuse me. Or even inceptors. I think was some technology people were talking about, which is kind of cool. That's neat. So Land Raider buffed. Let's go. Now, I don't know if I super like the fact that we're getting Space Marine buffs, but it definitely is something that's happening. Now, in addition to that, we see some buffs for non-compliant chapters. First of all, more Blood Angels buffs, although this came, I believe, with a small points hike. So Sanguinary Guard, I think, are going up a couple points per model. I want to say that it's 5, but I might be wrong because I don't have the value in front of me. It might be 3, though. They might be going up 10 points for 3. I don't remember. So small points hike. However, they got weapon skill 2 on all their weapons. First of all, huge. What a time to be alive. It was always weird when the hyper elite flying Terminators hit on 3s and then just miss a bunch of attacks. And you're I'm sorry. If you didn't oath their target, they got really sad. Which didn't feel like it shouldn't be necessary. I feel like we should maybe be able to oath the thing that the jump pack intercessors are fighting rather than the Sanguinary Guard, but that's okay. The Uncarmine Lance got a huge buff. It now trades its AP for +1 to wound, right? So previously, you always took the sword because the sword is a bonus AP and a bonus attack over the lance. And you just trade the -1 to wound. But you can get +1 to wound in Liberator Assault Group just by paying command points for it. So it doesn't really matter. Now, the spear only loses out an AP from the sword and has the same attack volume, which is much better. So I think, especially in Angelic Inheritors, probably, which I guess they have a lance strat already, right? Yeah, they do have a lance strat, so maybe that's fine. But some of the detachments that don't have lance on a stick, or you take it on your units that don't have captains in them, and then the captain can just free strat your lance, and the other units can just have lance thanks to the spears. It definitely makes the two weapons much more comparable, rather than the blade just being far and away the superior choice in almost every single situation. So that feels pretty good. Also, 2+ weapon scale, huge update. So Sanguinary Guard, stonks going up. The Lion. The Lion has continued to receive updates. For some reason, it says that this is a new change. This is not a new change. His sweep has been 2 damage since the last Dataslate. However, we also see that his Primarch of the First Legion ability, and I missed this on my first read through, affects 2 units or affects 2 abilities. Mortal wound protection against factions that have a lot of mortal wounds while still buffing the rest of the army. So he doesn't have to put his shields down necessarily to up down himself or to turn his rerolls on. So big update for Lionel Johnson. I don't believe his points are changing at all. I don't think so. But this is that's a cool one for him because he was like very fringe playable, but he wasn't super widely played. It feels like a kind of a weird unit to get a buff because he didn't feel bad. But definitely, I think they're trying to push to like the big cool epic heroes for sure. And we do see some other big changes for epic heroes as well, which is pretty sweet. All right. The next thing is I think that's all the Space Marine updates, if I remember. Oh, I do have the Sanguinary Guard points value changes. I believe they were 110 for 3, and now they're 115 or 125, which does feel a little bit better. Yeah, so they went up 5 points per model for the extra weapon skill, which I think is a pretty solid trade. It was a little bit weird having them be like the same cost as like a lot of other like sort of like mediocre heavy infantry. But it is what it is. All right, let's hop over to we have one change for Necrons, which is kind of a crazy one, to be honest. I did not expect to see Necron changes, but again, Josh Roberts is a Necron player and a Sanguinary Guard player, so I don't know. Yeah, there's something to talk about there. The Silent King has been reworked, and I actually think this is less of a desire to buff Necrons and more of a desire to get like sort of non-interactive abilities out of the game. So previously he had Bringer of Unity, which gives Necron units within 6 inches ignore all modifiers to all characteristics and any roll or test made. The problem is that I think they realized that ability is really strong, and they realized that really late. So they basically replaced all of it with the just like ignore modifiers to hit rolls and weapon skill, basically, which is what they kind of wanted it to do. But then it also affected like damage reduction effects, and it affected like zero, like damage blanks, and it affected armor of contempt, and they were like, this is probably too strong. So they replaced it with +2 move characteristic to Necron units within 6 inches, which is crazy good. This is just time flux from Magus Thread. It's the same ability effectively, which is insane. So Silent King, at any time he wants to, he can put himself up to move 10. He can put his like Canoptic race up to move 12, I think. He can put his Scorpack destroyers there. I think they start at 7, so they start at 8, so they go to 10. And if you're playing that in Starshatter Arsenal, where you don't need the reroll once to hit and wound anyway, because you have Lord of Dread on your Catacomb Command Barge, you just sit in this the entire game, and your whole army's really fast. +2 move and assault on all your weapons. Just really good. So Silent King looking insane right now. Yeah, I don't know. That feels incredibly strong. Let's go. What an absolute Chad. Warrior Brick going 13 inches turn 1. Yeah, just like absolute, just yeeting themselves up the table. Let's go. Scoreback Lord with the 4+ Field Up and running up. Yeah, absolutely. So that is pretty good. As to my knowledge, that's the only Necron change. I don't believe I've seen any other Necron changes so far, but I think that's about it. All right. Orcs. A couple changes to Orcs. Definitely not as many as I expected. It feels like Orcs kind of got forgotten a little bit here, but there may be changes that I just don't know about because I don't have all of the information. Commando squads, first of all, they can combat squad themselves. That's really cool. That's really cool and good. I think this rules. Is it transformative to the faction? No. Is it very powerful and makes commandos like a staple unit? Yes, absolutely. The big thing here is that if you wanted to use commandos in any sort of like board control, like any capacity where you gained board control, you you just lost all 10 of them immediately. So there are 120 points for 10 dudes. You would put 10 dudes in the middle of the table to block out your opponent's screens and stuff, and then the whole unit would die. And you were like, well, it was 120 points, and most of the time that was too expensive. Now you can do it with 5 models, and you can keep 5 models to go do an action or something. That's sick. Or you can split them into 2 separate areas and screen out two spots. It's just great. So I don't know. Commandos seem pretty good now. That's a big one. The other one is Ghazghkull Thraka's leader ability has changed. He can now join all sorts of shit, which is sick. Let's go. He can join boys, he can join knobs, like regular knob squads. Which means that it's easier to fit him into. I don't know if the transport capacity of battle wagons changes that much because he counts as like 1 million models, right? But he could. I don't know if he. I think he can fit in with a unit of 5. Is that right? It's 22. He counts as 16. Oh, so you only get 8. Well, maybe not. Just kidding. Or 6. So that doesn't matter. Oh no, you can put him with a 5 model unit. So you can put him with 5 knobs in a battle wagon if you wanted to. The other thing is that he can apply his he's +1 to hit and wound, I believe. Is his new ability? Yeah, +1 to hit and wound and 5 up plus criticals to an entire unit of knobs, potentially. So you can have 10 knobs, probably not in a transport. They have to ground pound at that point. But you can have 10 knobs with power claws, all at +1 to hit and wound, all with critical 5 or 5 of critical lethal hits on the WOG. Plus, if you're in, obviously you get all the combos, right? So if you're in War Horde, you get sustained hits, so you're critical 5, lethal, and sustain. And they're at that point strength 10 +1 to wounds. So they wound most things on 4s, if not 3s. So that unit's actually horrifying. Plus they're -1 to be wounded. So he's actually a little tankier because he's in a larger unit as well. You're not just worried about killing like 2 Mega Knobs before he loses his ability. You have to chew through an entire unit of guys. All of them have like a bodyguard effect. So this is just big for him. He can also just hop into 20 boys. Like, is that good? I don't know. But is it cool? Yeah. So huge. It was always weird as well, in my opinion, and it felt like kind of an oversight that Ghazghkull Thraka, the prophet of the WOG, the biggest boss there is, could not join just a bunch of boys. You could not embed Ghazghkull into just a bunch of orcs. You had to take Mega Knobs, which was annoying. And Mega Knobs kept getting nerfed to the point where they're independently basically worthless. So I would much prefer to take him into a different unit. Feels really good. I don't know. 20 boys plus a pain boy? Hell yeah. That's super sick. Yeah, that's I think gonna be good, chat. Now, I don't know if there's any more changes to orcs. I kind of hope there are because orcs suck right now. Like really, really bad, like unplayably so. And we really need some updates for them. But otherwise, I don't know. Ghazghkull Thraka getting updated is going to help, but I don't know if that's going to transform everything. The core problems still persist. Adepta Sororitas is the next one. Just one little change here. Zephyrim squads now gain all of their abilities when they charge, not just one. Cool. Are we going to take Zephyrim? Maybe with Celestine. Does that change the faction in a transformative way? I don't know. Seems kind of fine, I guess. Nerf Imperial Agents. Yeah, highest win rate faction in the game, Imperial Agents. Get them. Zephyrim was in the last late? No, was it? I thought that. Oh, you're right, chat. I thought that the sustainer lethal was in the last 8, but I guess that is in the last 8. Yeah, so I guess no changes as far as I can see to sisters. Sorry, folks. Some of there are a couple old things because there's no notes for this that have just like sort of transitioned over. All right. Tau Empire. I have one change for Tau. The Riptide got +1 strength on its gun, which is incredibly cool. That's obviously like you basically played the Riptide in Monka for the most part to benefit from like lethal hits, because if it ever shot hefty if it ever shot like high toughness armored stuff, it would basically just bounce unless you had lethals. You're just fishing for 5s or 6s to wound. But now strength 10, it's going to be able to trade shots with a lot more like sort of medium battle tanks quite a bit more often. So that's a big change as well. So that's pretty cool. Good stuff. Next up. I think, let's see. Very quick change to Votann. I don't super fast. They have buffed the Hearthband detachment because it was largely unplayable after the update to the codex. Like most of the abilities were just included elsewhere in the codex, so it felt really dumb. So now it was meant to be the Einhir Hearthguard detachment. However, it gave you the Einhir Hearthguard datasheet rule. It's just like worthless. So, now if you target the closest eligible, you reroll wounds of 1. So, army wide, and then if you're a call Einhir Hearthguard or Uthar the Destined, you get the +1 AP when you attack the closest eligible target. So a little bit better, especially because there's a bunch of other units that like reroll their ones to hit also. So things like Hearthguard Warriors and stuff like that just like have that baked in. And if getting that and plus the detachment ability was like, okay, why did we write this? I don't know. It looks like there's yield point interaction in their enhancements now. Bastion Shield was previously just -1 AP. With if the attacking unit is within 12. However, you can spend a yield point to extend the range of the Armor of Contempt effect to 18. So that's actually sick. So it gives you an aura, right, that reduces AP targeting you within 12 inches. When you're targeted, you can spend a yield point to extend the range of that aura to 18. Very powerful. Much more difficult to play around. Plus, it gives you yield point synergy and ways to spend yield points, which is huge if you want to stay in hostile acquisition.
Bucket of Steel Cable donated $6.99 through Super Chat. Calls Oath of Moment makes our gun line still be good in Conqueror.
Bucket of Steel Cable, thank you for the Super Chat as well. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, I definitely wouldn't overestimate how powerful it is because it is only targeting a single enemy, right? So it's not like your whole army is going to be better. Your whole army is going to be better against one thing if you debuff your other abilities. So it is going to be much better for sure. That is a hugely improved ability. But I wouldn't say that it's like every single Adeptus Mechanicus unit is rerolling all the time now. Let's go. All right, Quake multi-generator, I don't think changed. I think that's just in the screenshot. You suppress units. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Fury of the Hearth gave you Rapid Fire 1. Now, it improves your strength characteristic by 1. If you spend a yield point, you gain sustained hits 1 on Einhir Hearthguard. Now, the Hearthguard, I think this was because their plasma gun got rapid fire 1, so you didn't really need it. It only worked on the devastating wound weapon. And like realistically, I guess a sustained hit 1 versus a rapid fire 1's like on a 3-shot gun on the Vulcanite Disintegrator is similarly powerful. The +1 strength is only marginally effective on most of their weapon profiles. I guess it gives their it used to work on non-blast weapons, and now it affects on all ranged weapons. So it does give their grenade launcher strength 4 and sustained hits. So that is relevant. So I don't know. That's actually kind of good. Maybe that's fine. Did they lose the restriction on blast weapons for the detachment ability? Because it used to be non-blast got all the bonuses, right? They were, and it feels like that's gone, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, they removed all the restrictions, so now you get to reroll and +1 AP on blast weapons. So actually, Einhir Hearthguard stonks way up. Let's go. +1 AP, reroll once they hit and wound, and potentially +1 strength and sustained hits. That's sick. And this like sick updated enhancement. That seems much better, chat. Is it worth not taking Needguard Oathband? I don't know. But it's definitely much more interesting than it was, for sure. Kind of like that, not that one. All right. I'm kind of saving some of the best ones for last. World Eaters got a bunch of changes. First off, some points changes. 8-bound went down 5 points per model, so they used to be 150 or 300. They went down to 135, so down 15 points for unit of 3, which is much nicer. And Exalted 8-bound, I believe they went down 10. They went down. Excuse me. They went down 20. Holy shit! 7 points per model, just about 6 and a third. Down from 160 to 140. Thank God. 8-bound are really mid. I don't know. It's it is constantly surprising to me that like World Eaters just like a still sort of staple on them, because the units, I don't know. It's the original data sheet was really weird. They have replaced the Exalted 8-bound ability, however, with a new version.
Johnny Muzz donated $2 through Super Chat. Redeemer and Redemptor also down in Space Marines.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that. The Redemptor is down. What's it down to? Like 200? It was 210 previously. Definitely was sort of paying for the sins of the past, where everyone and their mom had a like 2 Redemptor Dreadnoughts in every single one of their armies. Down 15 points in the Redemptor Dreadnought, down to 195. Yeah, that's really good. Redeemer down also 15 points. Oh, huge. Oh, huge. Firestorm Assault Force looking much better. Hot damn. Or even Forge Father Seekers. Let's go. That's big. Yeah, good call out, chat. That's a good catch. So yeah, the other update to the Exalted 8-bound, they gain +1 attack against monsters and vehicles. Which is sick. The annoying thing, and also it's a weird, it's a weird wording. I think this only affects like individual attacks. I don't think this affects weapons, but it affects the attack you target them with until the end of the phase, which is very strange. I don't believe it affects the weapon though. So if you like target a vehicle, then somehow fight again. I don't think there's a way to fight again though. Then you don't get the bonus. Doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there. Previously, they had a terrible fallback ability where, like, if you fell back from them, it would do damage, or you could kill them or something. It was dumb. Now they just kill you. So they also got a statistical improvement. Do I have that in my notes here? I do. Or excuse me, on the Slaughterbound. The Slaughterbound went to base strength 10. So he goes to strength 10, and in most instances, he can gain plus a strength bonus elsewhere. So he's up to 9 attacks in Berserker Warband. He goes to strength 12 with 10 attacks when he uses his once per game. And if you Berserker Glaive him, he goes up to 11 attacks at strength 12, AP2, 3 damage, which is crazy. That's so strong. So yeah, I don't know. Slaughterbounds do seem like they're still great as a little nuclear missile. I sort of wish they still had a relevant attachment ability, like they regenerate 8-bound back to the unit, which could be good. But how often are you going to expose an 8-bound unit and have your opponent not kill it? They're not that difficult to remove. So I think I still like the individual little 8-bound running around and hitting people, and putting them up to base rank 10 is huge. So feels good. Angron also got a huge points cut down to 360 points. I think he was what was he before? Like 380 something? 385, yeah. So he went down 25 points down to 360. He did win a GT last week, so I don't know. Maybe there's a place for him. Who knows? It still feels a little bit tough to get your value out of him, because he's going to kill like one dreadnought and then die. But and then you have to hope that you get your favorite of Khorne off, and then to lose your army ability for a round. I don't know. It's still a lot of stuff. Kind of wish they had just like reverted the change on his respawn ability, but I understand why they didn't like it. But yeah, there you go. There's Angron. What a guy. His current rolls needs to go down to 310. I could maybe see that. I like 360 is like, I don't know. He's just a bloodthirster, right? Which is like 50, so he's like about the same cost. All right. Now the last one I have, chat, is huge. It's a big sad time because we have some changes to Thousand Suns. I believe that there are point changes to Thousand Suns, but I haven't seen them. I've seen like a summary, but I don't know if I've seen like screens. So I don't know. Oh, actually, I also there's also some points changes to Astronomical Charm as well. I've just noticed. So first of all, the Cabal of Sorcerer's Army ability has been entirely changed, or not entirely changed, but significantly depowered. Now, I do not like this yet. I will admit I'm a little bit of a Thousand Suns stan. I haven't really played them since the Codex came out because I don't really like the Codex very much. But my problem with the Codex was that its army ability was too random, too non-deterministic, and it basically encouraged you to play Magnus in all your lists because Magnus was the most consistent caster they had. And if they don't get the rituals off, they just lose because they don't have an army ability, which makes it a little bit ironic that they nerfed the rituals so that if you attempt to manifest a ritual, you cannot attempt it again. It's done. You can roll one time on a ritual and then it's over. You can't do that ritual any more times. So previously, it was random whether you got the ritual off, and sometimes the effects of the ritual were random too. But if you flubbed it, you could just do it on the next caster down the line. And in fairness, like modern Thousand Suns armies don't have crazy numbers of casters. A lot of times they're running like 4 or 5. So they have a little bit of a redundancy, but it's not crazy. However, if you cannot attempt to manifest a ritual that you've already attempted to manifest previously. So if, for example, you set up to do a cool Temporal Surge, Magnus snakes eyes the Temporal Surge, and you empower and roll a 2, he takes damage, you don't get the ability off, and then you cannot try it again. He's done. So you might just lose on the spot. I don't know. If you're playing Grand Coven, you can reroll it, but Grand Coven's already strapped for command points. So this feels, in many cases, it's not going to be hugely impactful because if you don't roll poorly, it's not going to be that big of a deal. However, in some cases, it makes the whole army just way more random whether or not they get their abilities. Which I super don't love. So this feels really, really bad for the faction. And Thousand Suns were doing above average. They were certainly good. I do think that they needed some points changes, but the core army ability to me did not feel like the problem for them. They did get some other updates. Incandium Enhancement now allows you to do Doombolt even if you've attempted Doombolt already. That's basically what it did previously. It let you duplicate a Doombolt once per game. Now it just been reworded to work alongside the new army rule. The Terminator Sorcerer has been buffed, so that's a nice thing. Start of your shooting phase, you select an enemy unit visible, you get +1 to hit against it. Previously, it was it required you to hit the target with a psychic attack, which weirdly meant that he didn't benefit from his own +1 to hit. Because he had to mark a target for other people. So if you had him, it was a weird like anti-synergy because you're like, all right, I want to take my Terminator Sorcerer because he buffs my army. And Terminator Sorcerers are good in Scarab Occult Terminator units, which is a big, expensive shooting base. So if I want to put the Sorcerer in the Scarab Occult Terminator unit, so he gives them his lethal hits, and then I'll shoot the Sorcerer to give +1 to hit. Oh no, that's the same unit. So your whole Scarab Occult Terminator unit didn't benefit from the Sorcerer's buff. Why? But they have improved it so it now gives +1 to hit just flat. You don't have to roll anything; it just happens. Also, it's an extended range because it requires you to be visible. So, Terminator Sorcerer actually really, really good now. The part I don't like is this debuff as well, and I believe that there were some points nerfs to Thousand Suns, but I don't know off the top of my head what they are because I don't have the screens for them. But yeah, the other stuff was Astra Militarum, which I believe were only points changes. The Rogel Dorn Commander went up, which if anyone is surprised by, you're a silly goober. It went up 10 points. Okay, and then the regular Rogel Dorn also went up 10 points. So if you were one of those people who are spamming 5 Rogel Dorns, you have to cut an infantry squad from your army, which I think is probably for the best. But that is, as far as I know, all the changes to Astra Militarum. I guess there were some other orc stuff. Let's see. People are posting about it. There was some other orc stuff. There's some orc points changes. Flashkits and Ludas got points cuts. Beast Boss and Mazra got points cuts. Meganobs got points cuts. As well as some of the other characters, yeah. Bikers and Snickrot went down a little bit. But anyway, chat, that's all the changes that I have written down over here. I don't know any other ones because I haven't seen them. To my knowledge, there were no Tyranid changes. Tyranids remain squatted until 11th edition. Will Tau ever be good again? I don't know. Maybe. The Drukhari Codex leaked? Did it really? While we were live? No way. If that did happen, you must send me a copy. Proves that they hate Tyranids, just like the rumors say. Well, so the thing with Tyranids, and it's interesting to talk about like stuff like that, is like I will make fun of Tyranids until the cows come home. But the reality is that Tyranids are like actually kind of a mid-table bully. So like if we take a peek at stat checks, like more recent values, right? Since the like Templar release, I guess. Tyranids are like middle of the road. So like from a statistical standpoint, they are not doing poorly. It's just that when they hit real like actual good stuff in the metagame, they just lose immediately. So I don't think that they're hyper incentivized to nerf Tyranids very much or buff Tyranids very much. I don't think so. Orcs are at the bottom. Yeah, orcs need to be. Orcs, yeah. I would be curious to see whether or not these changes to orcs are enough. It doesn't feel like enough. I feel like orcs need like some real tough data sheet changes. I don't know. Because they just suck. It's like it's I don't know. Just receiving like nerf after nerf after nerf. Like every time anything is slightly above average in orcs, it gets hit until it's unplayable. It's crazy. But it is what it is. 1,000 Suns are cooked. Yeah, that's what it seems like to me. I haven't seen the points changes for 1,000 Suns, but I think the army ability being less consistent. It's already like a really random army ability and has the potential to really like ruin yourself. Like even at Nova, the game I played at Nova, Magnus died essentially because of his army ability. He was killed by his army ability because he took 5 damage on his first turn, and then I just shot him to death. Like, the fuck is that? Imagine if Oath of Moment did D3 damage to Gilliman every time he chose one. Like, what the fuck? And it's like, that effect won't really change, but it's like, it's not this like as crazy powerful as people make it out to be. It's just like, it's just good. I don't know. It's like the original printing was like commensurate with other army abilities. But yeah, I don't know. Making it less consistent is definitely something. Yeah, I almost wonder how much of the changes were like for 1,000 Suns were like a little knee jerk in response to community sentiment, because I do think like there is a vocal minority of people who I think are like, that's too strong, it's crazy, they win everything, it's like amazing, and like I mean they're fine. They have a slightly above average win rate. Just like nerf their bow goats and make them pay an extra 60 points, and like actually things will look a little bit like they'll lose their tight matchups not quite as consistently. I don't have any more leaks, Chance. Those are all the leaks. That's everything that I got. But anyway, folks, I think that is all that I've got so far. If there is more stuff, then I I just don't have it. So it is what it is.
Rip Chuchin donated $5 through Super Chat. Gaz can lead boys and nopes, weird boys / Gaz combo. Turn 1, Battle Wagon changed Gaz to 4 spots.
That's cool. I did not see a Battle Wagon change, but that's sweet.
Ryan G donated $2 through Super Chat. Points are live on Android. Don't need codecs.
Points are live. The Gaz. So Gaz goes to 5 then, right? Because of Makari. So you have 17 additional slots in the Battle Wagon. So you could include him and 10 knobs and a 5-man. The 5-man commando squad. It's all coming together, chat. Let's go! Woo!
Bucket of Steel Cable donated $2.79 through Super Chat. Shani sent you more.
I don't have more Dataslate updates, chat. If we are doing Drukhari stuff, I'm gonna do that in a separate live stream, just so it's a different. So it's on its own page. Need some Chaos Space Marine leaks. Yeah, I don't see any of the. I don't have any of the other stuff. So anyway, folks, I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead, just so it creates itself in a separate video. I'll go ahead and make a thing to talk about Drukhari leaks. I will do this. And then we'll just go hang out over there. Then people won't have to scroll through this live stream to see that live stream. I'm just going to call it Drukhari Codex Leaks, and I'm going to put a picture of a Drukhari on it, and then we'll go from there. But with that, folks, those are all of the mechanical changes that I have for the data slates. I'm sure there are more, but this process, unfortunately, is a little bit haphazard because all of it is just screenshots people have taken from the codexes they have on the app. So it is unfortunately not a huge complete list of every single change forever. So let's go ahead and set this one up, and then we'll go talk about a Drukhari Codex, chats. I think is going to be our next motion. I will be live as well after these live streams are over. I'm playing in a GT Finals on stream, theoretically at 2 p.m. So I'll be live over there just after we stop streaming over here. So that's what's going to go on. And with that, if you just stay tuned when this stream ends, you'll pop over to the new stream and we'll do a separate video for it. So cheers, everybody. I will see you in the next one. Bye.